Beloveds, I want to start with a moment of gratitude for all y'all. It takes so many of you to make this moment come together. It began with Bonner. Thank you for choosing songs of my heart. What gifts. Bowie, thank you for holding the space so graciously. Brian, give thanks. Give thanks. I just invite you to take a moment and hold your order of service at the Acknowledging Today's Volunteer place. And I'd like us to just take a moment, take a breath in, and on the out breath, say thank you. Thank you. Yeah. The news is hard. As we enter into a time of meditation, it matters that we begin the spirit of gratitude, that we offer thanks for the gifts of love that we offer to each other all the time, again and again. I invite us to take a breath in and out. Sometimes we can feel alone. And in this moment, we remember we are loved. We love. We are held and we hold. And we give thanks. Spirit of life and love, it has been a hard summer. July was the hottest month on record in the globe. There is nothing to celebrate about 251 mass shootings at this point in 2019. And we continue to hold the family of Stonechild Chief Stick, whose children who live on the Port Madison Indian Reservation. And with the Suquamish Tribal Council, we too look forward to the conclusion of the independent commission that's investigating Stonechild's death. And we pray that it can become a catalyst for transformational loving in this place, in our lives. We hold in our hearts the families and neighbors and communities as ICE raids leave children without parents. For the teachers who don't know what happened either, we hold everyone in this moment. We pray, Spirit of life and love, that we will choose to claim our humanity and everyone else's. We give thanks that we are held and that we hold. We give thanks that we are loved and that we love. We offer a prayer of gratitude that we are not alone. Amen. Ashe. Blessed be. Friends, let us breathe in and out together. When the world is sick, can't no one be well? But I dreamt we was all beautiful and strong. Beloveds, I learned this song at a gathering of white and multiracial folk who had come together in Oakland, California to practice healing from internalized whiteness with facilitator Sandra Kim. And in the midst of our learning and unlearning, and our sharing, our acknowledging of painful truths, we returned again and again to our breath, again and again to song. When the world is sick, can't no one be well? But I dreamt we was all beautiful and strong. It turns out, as folk who've been struggling for hundreds and hundreds of years have known intuitively, that humming and singing are resilience practices. Spiritual practices that allow us to move through pain and struggle into that which has not yet become. And it matters that we not underestimate nor take for granted this deeply accessible self and community care resource and practice. Now, it may comfort some of you to know that there is science and art at the root of the effectiveness of these grounding, embodied spiritual practices. Some of you may know the vagus nerve is a long, critical nerve that wanders from your brain, down your neck, and your chest, and your abdomen. It connects the brain stem to the body. It's associated with a host of different physical functions, including swallowing. Go ahead. Right? That's an important one. Taste, digestion, heart rate. Activating this nerve basically tells your brain, okay, all is well. And that lets your brain tell your parasympathetic nervous system, we can relax. We're okay. And your voice box, your larynx, is connected to your vagus nerve. So when you hum or you sing, you naturally activate it. We sang our way through how difficult this is. These words are from the Reverend Dr. Leon Dunkley in the essay Willow Tree Flowers, found in a tiny book called It Is Time Now. And it was a collaborative offering from the Star Island Beloved Community Project. And just over a year ago, I was calmly unpacking from a birthday camping trip with my godchildren, who were 3 and a few months old. So it had been an exciting week. And I was doing all the laundry that you had to do before packing to head out to a place I had never been before, Star Island, in the Isle of Shoals, New Hampshire. It is a beloved place to folk, Unitarian Universalists, and United Church of Christ Congregationalists who live on that coast over there. I had been invited to be one of a dozen who, as the Reverend Lynn Gardner described, gathered in a circle and spoke our tender, brave, and painful truths with faith in the holy to help us find the words and with a growing trust in each other. The rocks, the sea, the sunlight and rain, even the gulls, helped shape a container to hold the experiences of relationships and communities constricted and shredded by a culture of white supremacy. And rising up through our songs and tears, prayers, laughter, sharing, and yearning was the sweet smell of hope, whispers of possibility, and the grounding strength of our commitments. And every 4 minutes, the sound of the foghorn on the lighthouse. But y'all, it was the closest I have come in my adult memory to living with a truly undefended heart. It was transformational loving. As my beloved colleague Leon Dunkley wrote about the week, in our spirit we sang of freedom. In our study, we sang of finding ways that our wounds might be made whole. In our soul, we sang about the flowers on the willow tree. And with the help of Farron, some of you may know this legendary Canadian singer, we sang a song called The Return. we sang. For to lay my head on your restless arm, I take my cue from the willow tree, for it don't break with just one storm, but bends with the strength that keeps it free. I'm going to invite y'all to sing or hum along, because it turns out singing and humming are resilience practices. I take my cue from the willow, but I should sing it, right? Take my cue from the willow tree, for it don't break with just one storm, but bends with, you see what happened? For to lay my head on your restless arm, I take my cue from the willow tree, for it don't break with just one storm, bends with the strength that keeps it free. I'm going to unpack that for a second because it matters. I was reading instead of just singing the song I knew. How often do we do that? Sometimes we just have to sing the song we know. Yeah. I am going to invite y'all to read with me, though, in the Singing, the Living Tradition, the Gray Hymnals, number 463. There's a poem there by the poet Adrienne Rich. And there's just something about many voices together. Shall we be many voices together? My heart is moved by all I cannot save. So much has been destroyed. I have to cast my lot with those who, age after age, perversely and with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world. It is the call of our faith, dear ones, thank you, to cast our lot with the willow tree flowers and all who insist on the sacred nature of creation, resisting extractive and dehumanizing ideologies and actions, choosing with no extraordinary power to co-create beloved community. The Reverend Lauren Smith tells the story of how, when falling in love with the person who became her husband, she realized that she loved him beyond her skill for loving. When I heard her say those words, they resonated all the way into my bones. Yes. This is how I feel about our faith, about this world, this universe. I love y'all beyond my skill for loving. And I will try again and again to take my cue from the willow tree, to bend with the strength required to get us free together. Perhaps her words resonate with you as well. I want to invite y'all to take a breath and think of where in your life you may feel that you love beyond your skill for loving. Take a breath, and if you want to, hum a comforting tune to yourself, offering a blessing of care to your being as you reaffirm your commitment to staying present to what is possible. Friends, it's become increasingly clear that it's not enough to teach and preach the practices, but to actually practice them. Thank you for practicing with me. There's a story called The Mishmash Heart. It was told by Lynn Unger and Michelle Richards, and I will share it with you. At a multi-generational event at a Unitarian Universalist congregation, because we have those, and it happens, everyone was encouraged to create a heart. They were given some construction paper, some glue, some markers, some fancy things. Now, Emily had worked diligently to create the most perfect, beautiful heart. It even had glitter in the shape of diamonds all along the edges, and y'all know how hard that is to do. As she was helping to clean up, she noticed the heart of one woman who was around the same age as her grandmother. It was a mishmash heart. It was a mess of odd colors. It had pieces that were ripped and torn and glued haphazardly on it. Parts of it were wrinkled and crinkled. There was even a hole in it. Thinking that there was something wrong, Emily offered to help the woman fix her heart. But the woman merely smiled and explained that there was nothing wrong with her heart. It merely revealed all the things that had happened to her in her life. She said there were happy times here, the beautiful colors and designs that represented when she first met her husband and their wedding, the birth of her 3 children. And there were other beautiful parts. It's watching her children take their first steps on their own, riding a bike for the first time, eventually graduating from college. But what about all the rips and tears and wrinkles, asked Emily. Why are they there? Well, those are for the sad times in my life, the woman explained. That time her best friend was stricken with measles, the time someone lied, did something to hurt her feelings, and that hole was left when her husband died. In fact, every time a person comes into my life that I care about, she explained, they take a piece of my heart with them. Now, this was distressing for Emily to hear, thinking of the woman having given part of her heart away to others. But what happens when you give it all away, she asked. You'll be left with nothing. No, I won't, the woman responded with a smile. Because you see, they give me part of their heart as well. Emily looked down at her perfect, beautiful heart with the glitter diamonds. And she looked again at the woman's mishmashed, wrinkled, torn, jagged heart. And without hesitation, Emily ripped a piece off of her perfect heart and handed it to the woman. Thank you, the woman said, as she placed it into her mishmash heart and tore off a piece to hand to Emily. Friends, what I have learned in this life is that human hearts get mished and mashed and glittered. And I am here for it, choosing each day with more grace some days than others, to let go of the false narratives of scarcity and perfection, those lies of less than and better than, singing my way through the difficult times with all who circle round to tend the fires of community. And sometimes when I get caught up in that mishmash and I forget about the glitter, I practice something called bee breathing. Anyone ever bee breathed before? It's a resilience practice. And for folks who've been through some things in life, it's good to have some resilience practices in your hip pocket, yeah. And you can use this one anytime. You can even do it during a committee meeting. I'm just saying, it's possible. If you're willing and able, just let your shoulders fall away from your ears. Take a breath. And on the exhale, buzz like a bee. breathe gently. Notice what's happening. It's an active way to reset your parasympathetic system and to let yourself know you're okay. If you don't have a half hour to meditate and you need to be present and kind and loving and authentic, and that is not where you are, in the 2001 Commission on Appraisal report called Belonging, the Unitarian Universalist gathering concluded, the church is a human institution, and it can be all too human. When such difficulties arise, some move away, others move back. Fortunately, there are also those who remain steadfast through these times of disillusionment, whose loyalty grows beyond it. They are not better or worse than the others, just different. And out of their disillusionment grows a loyalty less to the institution and more to the values and ideals that the institution seeks to serve and embody. It recognizes that institutional as well as personal failure is virtually inevitable at some point, and this is a loyalty of high honor. It requires extraordinary patience, tolerance, and the capacity to forgive. These are spiritual gifts learned in real community. An ACLU staff attorney, Chase Strangio, who fights fatal violence and harmful policy which affects transgender people, as well as the broader queer community, including Chase has worked on North Carolina's HB2 bathroom bill, y'all remember that, and the administration's ongoing trans military ban. And Chase sums it up, if everything needs to be perfectly packaged, we're never going to be okay with the reality that we are really complex, messy, uncertain beings. The more we can embrace that, complex, messy, uncertain, the more I think we can actually transform things. Anybody here grow up wanting to be messy, complex, and uncertain? Right? That was not how I was taught. Oh. But fortunately, Leon was on Star Island, and he shared a song that he had written on the other side of some messy complexity. I just can't break like a bone anymore. And I just can't sink like a stone. I'm gonna pack up my sorrows and throw down my guns and pick up the best of my heart. Best of my heart. Dear ones, I'd like to invite you to think of a time when you have chosen to pick up the best of your heart, to remain loyal to the values and ideals of Unitarian Universalism when people or institutions have failed to live into the promise of beloved community. How did you pack up your sorrows? Find the courage to throw down your guns, the energy to pick up the best of your heart. How did you sing your way through? Pema Chodron, Buddhist wisdom leader, asked, my goal is how organizations can lead us not towards some predictable goal, but toward a greater and greater capacity to handle unpredictability, and with it, a greater capacity to love and care about other people. I offer that we gather as a people of faith not to create perfect hearts or maintain them, but to sing each other through with our perfectly lovely and often unpredictable mishmash glittered hearts. takes courage to open ourselves up to joy, writes Brene Brown. Truly. For all our feelings are connected. That interdependent web is not just a metaphor. And being open to joy means being open to sorrow and to anger and to sadness. And that's okay. Will y'all say that with me? That's okay. Yeah. Because I don't know if we always got that message. And I want to make sure we know. We get to have all the feelings. In fact, it seems to be the only way to have any feeling is to have all the feelings. To share our whole and holy beings with each other. All right. I'm going to take a moment and practice what I preach right now. I've had the joy of being here with y'all before, and so this felt like the place to share, take a little risk. I'm working on a song, and it's a work in progress, as am I. I don't have all the parts. I'm not sure about the notes, and the ones I sing this morning may not be the ones I practiced with yesterday. I don't know if there's a third verse. I think there's a bridge, but I don't know what it sounds like. But maybe y'all do. So I'm going to sing this song. It's been bubbling up with me after spending time intentionally reflecting on my own internalized ableism and all that stuff, all those lies of supremacy that get inside. Okay. I was taught that slow is stupid, and I was taught that weak is wrong, and I was taught that if you're different, well, you never will belong. But I don't have to be who I was taught to be. I can claim my own humanity. And feel it getting a little deeper. You showed me slow is brilliant, and you showed me weak is right, and everyone's as different as a starry, starry night, and we all belong, and we don't have to be who we were raised to be. We can claim our own humanity. Ooh, that was like 2 keys lower. But also, it's the beginning. If any muses come to you, Bonner has my contact information. Friends, I believe we can sing our way through how difficult this is. We can hum our way through. We can dance and pray and cry and hug and love and love and love our way through how difficult it can be to claim our own and everyone's humanity. To claim and proclaim the sacred nature of this planet, this universe, known and unknown. Hosea Ballou, a minister who converted to Universalism from the Baptist tradition in 1789, preached, "Hell is what human beings created in this world by cruelty and greed. And paradise is also available here and now, manifest in beauty and marked by relationships of justice and care. We are called to love beyond our skill for loving, and we are called to skill each other up, offering and receiving nourishing and sustaining spiritual practices. May we say yes again and again to these calls. Courage in our hearts and compassion for ourselves and for each other. Transformational love is ever unfolding. And we don't have to be who we were raised to be. We can claim our own humanity, everyone's humanity. And so it is.